Greetings, ladies and gentlemen of the internet, Jan Michael here. You know, I think we all had the same thought when we heard that there was going to be an Indiana Jones video game. And that thought was, Oh, Machine Games is doing the game. Well, in that case, yeah, that was pretty much about it. I was unenthusiastic, other people were unenthusiastic. We just expected it to be a whatever title tied to maybe a movie or whatever the case may be. These type of things don't usually work out that well. Actually, it wasn't until we saw that gameplay trailer that I think our collective turned into a But did that turn into anything more? Well, it got nominated for Game of the Year, so there's that. But what did I think of it? That's the real question. Well, let's jump in and find out.
Let me tell you what you are missing, Dr. Jones. While you were playing your pointless game, I was playing you. You're wondering if maybe you should have built yourself a life of meaning.
Set between the events of Raiders of the Lost Ark and The Last Crusade, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle sees Indy on the hunt for the man that stole his cat mummy, which takes place early on. That event is the catalyst for a new adventure that sees him going all over the world to places like Vatican City, Giza, Siam, and even the Himalayan mountains, as he finds that there's a greater mystery at large that ties into, you guessed it, the Great Circle. And if you don't know what that is, all the better, because a big part of the fun is discovering these things as Indy does. Now let me get this out of the way because it is hands down the best compliment I can give the Great Circle. It feels like an Indiana Jones adventure. Heck, it feels more indie than the recent Indiana Jones films. Huge props has to go to the director because this feels like choices that Steven Spielberg would have made while filming a movie of this caliber. And mimicking someone's style to that degree is not an easy thing, so big props have to go there. At the center of the game is Troy Baker's performance as Indiana Jones himself. And goddamn, did he do an impressive job. There are times I honestly thought it was Harrison Ford's voice, before I had to remind myself there was no way he could sound so young. And he's just one aspect of the cast. Everyone puts in some serious effort into their role. Special shout out to Marios Gavrilis as antagonist Emmerich Voss, who knocks it out of the fucking park. There is not a single weak link in the voice acting, to the point that even if you don't plan on playing this, I still recommend watching the cutscenes to see how amazing a performer each person is. But okay, the presentation and the voice acting is great. How's the gameplay? Also fantastic. Depending on what we're talking about. Now, generally, you're dropped into large open spaces where you're kind of free to do what you want, solve puzzles, take on side missions, sneak around, knock out guards, and it all feels very Indiana Jones. It never loses sight of that. Even when the game does get linear, it gives you enough freedom to kind of tackle what it's presenting to you the way that you want. I knew I was in for something special when I found a hidden pathway that got me around a locked gate that I otherwise would have had to have knocked out a guard or taken a key in order to get through. And those are the situations that you'll find throughout the game. And for the most part, it's fucking fantastic. That being said, not every activity is a winner. There are generic tasks such as hunting down medicine bottles, which I was never compelled to do. Taking pictures of cats seemed oddly out of place. It actually reminded me of how people made fun of that cat mission in Final Fantasy VII Remake. But luckily, none of these things are mandatory. They're easy to ignore, and the rewards for them aren't something you're going to seriously miss out on if you decide to skip it altogether. The one aspect of the game that I truly do think halts the excitement is in its combat. Now, generally, I'm not the type that likes to sneak around, knock out guards. I'd rather go in guns blazing. But here, I actually found the sneaking around and knocking out guards to be the most exciting thing. Having to move the bodies so passing troops don't discover it, sound the alarm, and then you have to go into hiding. All of that freaking fantastic. But as soon as the fisticuffs come out, that's when everything just died. And a big part of it is because of how terrible the stamina system is. Even once you get used to the controls of combat, you have to constantly stop, back off, dodge until your stamina comes back and you're able to knock out these guards. And I get it, Indy's not supposed to be some powerhouse that knocks out everybody in the vicinity, but good lord, even a single enemy sometimes is a chore based on how much stamina you have left. And the gun might as well be fucking useless because as soon as you pull it out, everybody fucking pulls out their guns like a Bugs Bunny cartoon and you're dead within seconds. So this is the one frustrating element that I truly did despise. And no more evident was it than in the boss fights. These boss enemies have so much goddamn health. It drags the fight on forever. So even if you are confident in fight mechanics, you'll want to play it safe because the simplest of punches can knock you out and restart the whole goddamn experience, wasting precious time. And they're all almost exactly the same. Even when they do switch things up here and there, it's really not any better. In fact, sometimes it's more frustrating. There's one boss fight in particular where you're sneaking around trying to knock out this blind boss with whatever weapons you find lying around, and good lord, it took fucking forever to get through that. These were the moments that I'm so glad only forced combat on us, because if it was forcing us through combat throughout the entire experience, it would have lost some serious goddamn points. Apart from that, my other problems are more nitpicks. I just noticed them throughout the entire adventure. Like, the game has a lot of technical issues, such as enemy AI getting kind of wonky. At one point, it would get stuck in the environment, walking in place, or I come across enemies that are T-posing. At one point, the game glitched out on me and I couldn't punch, so I was being attacked and I couldn't do anything about it. I ended up dying in that encounter. Dialogue would sometimes get repeated in later sections, which kind of make it awkward because you knew that line of dialogue was meant for that earlier section, and yeah, just weird little things like that that happen throughout the entirety of my playthrough. And so you tend to notice those type of things. I'll also say that I wasn't a huge fan of the whole Siam traversal area because you're essentially getting in a boat to go to all these different little islands, I don't know what you would call them, and the fast travel mechanic, you usually have to go to these signposts, but because you're constantly getting in and out of a boat, even just going to these fast travel areas is still a pain in the ass to do in this section. I mean, you have to kind of travel throughout the entire game, that's kind of a big chunk of it, but at least you're not wasting a few seconds of your time each and every time you're getting in and out of your boat. So again, just small stuff, nothing that ultimately ruins the game, just things that I noticed throughout my playthrough. Ultimately, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is a game that greatly impressed me. I don't think it's a perfect game, there are definitely problems with it, but for a product that we were all collectively going about just a few months ago, to get to the point that we're now speaking very positively about it, that it got a Game of the Year nomination, that's a great achievement. There's even talk about making this a franchise, which I think is a great idea, especially now that they've gotten this first one out of the way. I can see the follow-up being more polished, which would be greatly welcome. Whatever Indy's next journey is, I'll definitely be looking forward to it. Coming around full circle, I give Indiana Jones and the Great Circle a 4 out of 5 with a recommendation to play it. If you're a big Indiana Jones fan, or even just a casual one, I think you're going to find plenty to love and admire here. At least more so than the Crystal Skull and the Dial of Destiny films. Low bars, sure, but hey, every adventure has to have its start somewhere.
Patron of the fallen angels. Protector of the Chirkulimani. The Great Circle.
You have any idea how old that was?
And at long last, that's all 5 games reviewed. We're ready for the DICE Awards, right? No, not yet. I gotta do my predictions first. Come back tomorrow, guys. I'm going to be going through every category, talking about what I think is going to be winning at the ceremony. And as you all know, when it comes to the ceremony, I'm going to be taking a shot for every wrong pick I give. So you're definitely going to want to come back just to see how I ultimately end up doing. Last year wasn't so great, so I'm hoping this year I don't die of alcohol poisoning. With all that being said, like always, guys, please stay safe out there, and until tomorrow, have a good one.